Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Hello, Michael. It's so good to see you. Today is Monday, October 21st. Welcome to the live discussion with myself, Julie Nguyen, and I'm in California, and Michael is in Canada. Hello, everyone. Hello, Michael. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Julie. Hello, everyone out there.
Like I said, today is 21st of October. We're getting together again. We're exciting to talk about this topic today. And I think um, this topic is really kind of came up in a conversation with a friend of a dear friend. And somehow this is here. This topic is here. So I'm excited to talk about it. When we're talking about adapting to the change, we have to talk about the change, right? Change is something that's inevitable in our life. Can't really avoid it. Whether or not the change that is influence our personal life, or you move from one city to a different city, or you kind of changing your friends, or it could be any change in our personal life, and it could also influencing change in our career as well. Change, it could be something that really evoke our emotions, and sometimes we are very exciting for the change, we anticipate for the change, but certainly there's also anxiety and uncertainty in it as well. um, you know I believe in it. Or change, sometimes we can't really avoid to it, but how we prepare and how we adapt to the changes, and when we are adapting to that change, um, I believe it is very important for us, and it also help us in terms of the personal growth, and help us to be more resilient. um, it's really thinking about this topic, I think about all the change that is happening in our life. But sometimes we have to accept it. Sometimes the changes that's made, that's not necessarily be the change that we are personally made, but the change in the environment, the people that, for example, at work there's policy changes. There are things changes in our families, personal. This could be anything, but when we accepting to that change, like I said, it helped us to grow. It helped us to stay more resilient. So today, in our discussion today, we will hopefully, kind of exploring the various aspect and how we could adapt it to the change, and we hopefully can share some of our experience, or maybe come up with a few strategies, Michael. And strategies or insight that actually can help us to adapt to those change in this ever evolving world. We can't, there's changes every time, right? So Michael, without further ado, let's just delve into the this topic, and what changes mean to us, and how can we, as a group of community of people in a community, can support each other through that transition, and then how all of us can work together to support that, and how we can foster that resilience, facing sometimes we call the unknown. So Michael, what does change mean to you?
Well, first of all, Julie, change is a way of life, right? It's a way of life. That's how the world is built upon change and changes. Our life is built upon changes. A baby is born. Okay, the baby doesn't stay a baby forever, right? You know, um, you go through school, you go through changes, like everything that you can think of. Your growth, you know what I mean? You're 2 feet tall, you don't stay 2 feet tall forever, right? You grow. Everything you can think of involves change. We should be well prepared where change is concerned. Unfortunately, people don't like change, even though it's a way of life. People don't like change, Julie. People like the same old, same old. And not all change is good. right? A person can be a very nice person, and all of a sudden they change to be a very, bad person. Let's say, right? Not all changes are good, but certainly we have to recognize that it is a part of our life. It's a way of life for all of us as human beings. So if we could learn to adapt, if we can learn to react to the changes all around us in a positive way, of course, then I believe that you can be successful in anything that you set your mind to. But you have to be willing, to recognize changes and adapt to it, right? If you don't adapt, you usually get left behind, right? We've seen so many instances, even from a technology standpoint, right? I think of record players, growing up, we had record players, that's how we listen to music, you know what I mean? And now, what do we do today, right? I mean, who's, going to go look up that 45, going to look up that LP, like, who's doing that today, right? Yes, there are some records still out there, but the vast majority of society has moved on
Mhm.
from records and record players, right? So everything that we can see, the phone that we have today, right? Look at that phone. Sometimes when I watch some old videos and I see those big clunky phones that we used to have, compared to what we have now, a little a computer, a mini computer is what our phone is today. So we certainly go through a lot of changes. Companies go through changes, Julie. For those who are, a part of X, Twitter, you know what I mean? I'm sure people have seen the changes that they have gone through, you know, and the list goes on and on and on. So it is a way of life. And certainly, to me, the sooner people can learn to adapt to the changes all around them, the better they'll be in the long run, right? The better they'll be in the long run, Julie.
Absolutely, Michael. And I think, I believe that the changes can be very daunting, but if we could, maybe be prepared for it, or some changes that very exciting and full of possibility. But if we could prepare for it, and how to prepare for it, I believe it is always started with a mindset. If we can just keeping it very positive outlook, no matter what change it is. These are, we're talking about chains that are maybe the idea that we kind of understand. That change can lead into a very successful, because sometimes I think the majority of the change is making it better, not worse, Michael. So I think be able to have that open-minded, say open-minded, would help us to prepare for it.
Yeah, definitely. What? Just think of school, right? Think of universities, right? Okay, usually, kids they go through school, and if they stay in the same neighborhood, they have the same friends and all of that stuff, right? And so you go through, high school. You have a certain group that you hang out with. All of a sudden now, everyone's going off to universities. Chances are you're not going to the same university as your friends, right? And sometimes you may even leave the country to go a different, go to a university outside of your country, even, right? So the changes that you have to adapt to, coming into a different environment, maybe even a different culture. Julie, think of people who move. You move from one country to another country. Again, there's a big, adaptation that is needed. When you do that, growing up as a child, I immigrated from one country to another country. It's a whole different ball game. So you have to adapt to these things. This change happened all around us all the time, but certainly it was for the better, right? It was for the better. When you leave high school and you go into university, it's for the better. It's supposed to help prepare you to get out there in the workforce. So it's for the better, right? And so again, if people realize that they have to be flexible, they have to be open-minded. You're in the in the workforce, and your boss comes to you and they're changing your job description. You know what I mean? Maybe even your position, your title, maybe even relocating you, right? All these things. So you have to be flexible. Otherwise, you'll probably be out of a job. You know what I mean? So it's always good to be flexible. It's always good to be open-minded, Julia. At least see and hear what all the change implies, right? What's going on. Is it for the better? Because if it is, then that's a wonderful thing, right? You're quickly going to embrace that change, because it's a good thing. Sometimes people are in toxic relationships, right? So it's good to make that change, good to get out of that toxic relationship and get into something that is much more better, right? So there's so many instances, Julie, as we go through life, where change is, I would say, mandatory, right? Like you have to, in order to evolve, right? In order to grow, you have to go through changes, right? No matter how you look at it. Being comfortable, staying in your comfort zone, usually doesn't lead to success, right? For people to become successful, they have to grow. They have to expand their horizon, right? Maybe they're not comfortable making phone calls, as an example, right? And as soon as you get over that fear, because that's all it is, right? You get that fear of picking up that phone. You start making phone calls, and all of a sudden, oh, okay, this not wasn't so bad after all. You know what I mean? So people definitely have to adapt to it, and absolutely by keeping an open mind will help you through that process, Julie.
Absolutely, Michael. And when we are stay open-minded, sometimes it's good for us to practice self-reflection, right? We reflect on the core. We reflect on the values that we have, what's inspire us, the aspirations that we have. After changes, or even before changes or after changes, we could actually look at ourselves, reflect on ourselves. Is this change helping us to learn more? Is it change to help us grow? And maybe we could also look in ourselves to prepare for the future changes as well, Michael. So changes is great. Change is also always good, but we need to like be prepared for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we keep the big picture in mind, I think
Mhm.
it helps us with change, right?
Yeah.
It helps you be able to adapt to it, right? When you have that big picture in mind. When we kind of bring things down to just a small picture, right? Then that's where we get all the objections, right? That's where we get all the resistance, right? But if we keep it, wide, big picture, what is my end goal? What is it that I'm trying to accomplish? So is change, worth it? I've seen people actually they're employed and decide to go back to school. So they made a change in their life because they wanted to, maybe make more money, right? They want to be able to get a better job. So they have to go back to school to get qualified so that now they can go out there and get a much more better job that they're qualified for, Julie. Right. So again, there's so many different instances where we see change in a positive light. So we should embrace it, right? And so definitely you want to have self-reflection. You want to be able to take a look and see, okay, you know um, what am I trying to accomplish here, right? What's my 5 year target, 10 year target? You know what I mean? 20 years. Where do I see myself 10 years from now? You know what I mean? And so as you start to reflect, you start to make the necessary changes. You go look around your home. You say, you know what? I think things are getting a bit cluttered now. I think we're holding on to too much stuff. Maybe we need to change. Maybe we need to throw some stuff out, right? And so people go through spring cleaning, right? As an example, Julie, right? And so springtime come around and they're going through and they're cleaning different things and throwing stuff out and what have you, and deciding what to keep and what not to keep, right? And so change is just all around us, right? It really is. And so, yeah, starting with self reflection, starting to have an open mind, all those things is going to help people, kind of stay focused as to why the change is necessary, right? Because if the change isn't necessary, then why make the change? You know
Mhm.
what I mean? But sometimes when we look at the big picture, we say, you know what? Yeah, it does make sense to make a change. And as long as the change is going to get us closer to our desired goal, then that's the most important thing, right? We want to make sure that we're going to take care of our friends and our family and all of that. So am I changing for the better, right? We always talk about being the best version of yourself, Julie. That requires change,
Mhm.
right? Because you don't, wake up and you are the best version of yourself. No, growth has to come into play, right? We have to go through certain changes and even transforming ourselves, as a matter of fact, right? In order to get to that higher state whereby we are now become the best version of ourselves. So it isn't something that happens overnight, that there's a process to it. It's similar to our business, Julie, right? It's similar to OnePassive, right? In the sense that there's a process, right? And so there's been changes, from year one, year two, year three, and so on. We've had multiple changes, but all for the better to get us to that finished state whereby we can all be happy, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the end goal. You know what I mean? If we want to uplift humanity, Julie, then changes have to be made. We can't do the same old, same old. We can't be thinking the same way. We can't be, doing business the same way. We can't, because certain things are outdated, certain technologies outdated, right? So we have to move into the new phase, right? Whereby we can have the latest technology being utilized, the latest programs, the latest platforms, the latest tools. Julie, all those changes is going to be good for us because certainly we want to be compliant in every corner of the globe, right? And we want to make sure that we're still true to what we set out to do. The vision still has to be intact, right? So you can make adjustment without changing your vision, right? So adjustments require changes, right? But not a change where it's like this is totally different than what we set out to. That's not what you want. I don't think people, even individuals, when they go through changes in their life, they're not trying to do a 180. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, whoa, who's this person, right? No, not at all. So you're going to have certain traits that you're going to carry forward with you, right? But certainly you want to, kind of throw out some of the bad things, keep the good, make adjustments, and then now you're at a higher elevated state so that you get to be that best version of yourself, Julie, right? So again, no matter which way you look at it, no matter what we talk about, no matter what the example is, change is something that is inevitable.
Mhm, mhm. Michael, when we are talking about changes, we're talking about, how we be prepared for it, we stay open-minded, we think about the core values that we have. Those are the changes that we do. We make the changes or prepare for the changes that so close and within us is our decisions. But there, when we were talking about the changes that's made by someone or some community, for example, we take a look at our journey in Unpassive the past 6 years. There are changes need to be made, and there's changes that made, but some of us are not staying informed. So I think in order for us to really prepare to stay informed and to be able to understand the reasons behind the change, we have to really stay informed, gather information. And, in order for us to be able to adapt to that change, um, if we stay informed, that knowledge, the understanding of the reason behind it, it will help us to absolutely reduce that uncertainty or fear or anxiety. So staying informed is another way that we could adapt to that change that is made, that us personally do not make that changes, but someone else or some community, or especially in non-passive. Take a look at what had happened in non-passive in the past years. Why did Mr. Mufareh open up the ecosystem for us to stay informed with the updates that he's giving us? So stay informed is another point that I believe is very important in this topic as well, Michael.
Well, I mean, who doesn't like information, right? I mean, we all of us should,
Too.
right? So, without information, you don't know anything, right? And that brings stress, Julie, right? No one wants to be left in the dark, right? People want to be aware of what's going on, and so absolutely by having the OES, the ecosystem open up to us, now people can stay informed without guesswork, without speculation, and all these things by just relying on the updates that are there for them, right? And as more updates come, guess where you're going to find it? You know what I mean? So that reduces the stress that so many people seem to have instead of just relaxing and just going with the flow, enjoying the process, right? So, whatever change come our way, right, we can quickly adapt to it, Julie. You know what I mean? It's not something that's, oh my gosh, going to take me 5 years to adapt to this change. No, right? Usually, change just happens, fairly quickly, right? Fairly quickly. And so all we have to do, like you said, is to stay informed. How do we stay informed? Just log into your OES. It's how simple it is, right? And if you're following certain individuals, again, stay tuned to their channels, subscribe to their channels, etc. And because they will also update you, for whatever reason that you may not have access to your OES, as an example, right? And some people, again, language barrier and so on and so forth. Some things do need to be translated, and sometimes things need to be clarified, for people to truly grasp, the full meaning, right? So all these things is necessary, Julie. And so by staying informed, again, who wants to hold on to stress, right? They say stress is a killer, right? So I like things nice and simple. I like things to be plain. I like things to be easy. And so being in a relaxed state, right, helps you to cope with whatever changes comes our way in everything that we do, Julie. You know what I mean? If I'm in a relationship and the relationship is now severed, right? Okay, you go your way, I go my way. Okay, no problem. As long as I stay relaxed and calm, you know what I mean? I can see, okay, was that a good move? Was it a bad move? You know what I mean? And usually, it is a good move, right? There's a reason why people break up. There's a reason why people are separated and so on, right? If it wasn't for the best, then they'd probably still be together. You know what I mean? And sometimes in the midst of the change, we don't realize the significance or the importance of it, Julie, and we don't realize that, oh, it actually was for the better. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to make that change to get what's there waiting for you. Without making that change, you never see what else is there, right? Something better comes along, right? Something better is in the horizon waiting for you, but because you're so focused on, dealing with the change as opposed to accepting it and moving forward, you miss out on so much in life. You know what I mean? Sometimes people dwell on the past, Julie, and you're holding on to the past. You know what I mean? Instead of, no, it's okay, you can let it go. Let's move forward. You know what I mean? And see what's in store for us, right? That goes with our business as well. People holding on to what used to be. Oh, we had this and oh, we had that. Okay, well, we don't have it. It's okay, right? We've moved on, and it's for the better, right? So again, to me, as long as we're progressing, Julie, right? To me, that's the bottom line. As long as we're progressing, right? Whatever the changes in whatever area of your life, as long as you're making progress, you're moving forward, right? You're expanding your horizon. Um, you know, that's the most important thing, I believe. Not the change itself, but the outcome, right?
Mhm.
The outcome of the change. And so if that's going to put me into a better position, by all means, I welcome the change.
Absolutely, Michael, and talking about the changes, talking about your end result, as long as your dreams are still alive, right? And you talked about being flexible, before, you got to somehow, somewhat to be willing to adjust to the adjust the plans that you've made or adjust the expectations that you have. You know that your dream's still alive. You know that change is always for the good, so you got to be really be flexible. And when you're being flexible, you actually can ease a lot of stress, or I guess anxiety that comes with it. So being flexible is something that I believe it can help us to adapting to that change. And that change is not necessarily be you making the change, but other people around making the changes that affecting you as well. And so we got to be able to have that flexibility.
Well, it's important, right? Can you imagine that as a family you decide that you're going to move location, and you have a child that says, "Well, I'm not going. I don't want to change location. I'm staying right here." Right? That'll be problematic, right? Because chances are the child can't stay on their own, right? They have to go with the flow. They have to go with that new change, change in direction, change in location for the family, right? And as soon as they get to that new location, they make new friends, and then they're all happy, and they forget about their previous location. Julie, you know what I mean? That's usually how things work, right? So once people are able to let go, right, of the past and just look to the future, right? Because usually the future is brighter, right? Usually it is, right? And so yeah, people have to be flexible. People have to basically set new goals, I would say, Julie, right? They have to look ahead as to what's in store. And as you said, as long as the goal's intact, as long as your dreams, your desires, your aspirations, all these things are still intact, That's the main focus. It's not so much how you get there, but as long as you get there. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to take twists and turns, you know what I mean, and double back and go around corners and all these different things. We talk about, going on a journey, right? And sometimes there's roadblocks, sometimes there's construction, right? Sometimes there's an accident, all these different things. And so you have to detour and go around. You have to change your direction, right? And when you do that, Julie, good things normally happen because you get to your destination safe and sound, right? You're going across a bridge and you say, well, the bridge is out. Well, do you just keep on going across the bridge because you refuse to change your direction? No, right? That's only going to end in danger and death, even, right? So you're going to make the adjustments. Okay, we can't go this way because the bridge is out. So let's go around. It may take us a little longer to get there, but as long as we get there, you know what I mean? Right? That's the bottom line. When I drive, Julie, especially when I'm going on a long journey, right? For me, I have to look and see where are there bridges that I don't want to go over, right? So I literally map it out, right, and see where they are. And sometimes it may take me an extra hour or two to get to my destination because I don't want to take this particular road, right? Because there's a bridge there that I don't, you know what I mean? All these things. So it's the same thing, and I keep saying it, right? Everything in life requires us to make adjustments, requires us to make changes, Julie, and to adapt to those changes. Because as long as we get the outcome that we're looking for, you know what I mean? You have people who set out to be a millionaire, as an example, right? That's their goal. Hey, you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes to become a millionaire in this life, right? And so they're prepared to go and go and go and try and try and try until they accomplish their goals. And sometimes they will fail, Julie, right? They'll fail. Oh, I tried this business, it didn't work. Okay, I'm gonna go try again. And they keep trying, trying, trying. And you know what, Julie? Eventually, right? Eventually, they accomplish what they set out to accomplish, right? And it's like, okay, was it worth it? Yes, it took me longer than I thought. I thought I was going to be a millionaire in 1 year. You know what I mean? Well, okay, it took me 7 years instead. There's nothing wrong with that because you still got to your destination. You know what I mean? You still accomplish your goal, right? And so along the way, maybe you had to change. I had to change this business, change this idea, change this tool that I'm using, change that product that I'm marketing. You may have to make some changes, right, along your journey. But as long as you get to that finish line, Julie, right, that's the most important thing. So sometimes we just have to welcome change, embrace change, and look forward to changes so that we can accomplish whatever we've set out to accomplish, right? Because again, that's the bottom line. It's not so much the change. It's not what does the change, involve, but it is a matter of, okay, will these changes get me to my desired destination? Yes, it will. Okay, thank you very much. Let's go. Let's make the changes and let's move forward, right? So that's a good thing, Julia. As I said, people just have to learn to embrace changes and see how it can best help them move forward and accomplish whatever it is that they've set out to accomplish.
Absolutely, Michael. And there's some changes that make a big effect in our life. For example, going through a divorce or kids move
Mhm.
out of the house for college, right?
Right.
Some can be very taxing, very sad. But
Mhm.
if we have friends, support group, families, colleagues, and whatever it is, a community of people, we can share how we feel, like, and we also have to really taking care of ourselves, going through changes can be crazy, right? So we need to engage in those activities that can help us to relax, recharge, or even talk to a group of people. I love the fact that there's people said, the people around you are the people, you got to look at the people around you. Are you hanging out with the right people? Are you in the group that communicate the correct information? Because there's informations are everywhere. We're looking for information. We just try to get as many informations as possible, but that information is that accurate. And so leaning on other people's, being with other people's and practice self-care it is something that I feel that another way of adapting to the change, because change is happening every day, right?
Yeah, well, support is important, right?
Yeah.
You want to have a support group, right? And again, that's Julie, that's really everything in life. Everything in life, you want to have support. You don't want to be that person that's just doing it by yourself, going at it, as a lone ranger, right? You want to have support. You have people that you can lean back on, people that you can communicate with, people that you can have discussion about, because sometimes maybe you don't see it as you ought to see it,
Hmm.
right? But by having a discussion with someone else or a group of individuals, right? Collectively, you come up and says, "Oh, okay, yeah, okay, okay. Now I get it. Now I see why we did this, or now I see why the change was important. Now I see the benefits." You understand, right? Now I can see the benefits by you having that conversation. Like for like you and me, for example, right? By us talking about certain things, like, "Oh, okay." Right, and then we can come to a conclusion and see the bigger picture, and then now we both walk away being more informed,
Yeah.
right, more informed on that particular topic that we were discussing, right? And so that's true for any and everyone, right? When you truly have people around you that are caring, of course, right, not people around you that's going to dump on you, right? But when you have people around you that actually care about you, right? And when you have people that have the same persuasion, same mindset as yourself, both of you working towards a common goal. You have obviously things in common that you're trying to accomplish, right? And so when you have that individual or individuals around you that you can bounce ideas off, it to me it makes it a lot easier to go through the changes, right? Because as you said, sometimes you could be going through a change that is traumatic. You know what I mean? It is possible, right? You could go through something that is life changing. You know what I mean? Maybe you lost a loved one, for example, right? And so when someone is mourning, well, it's good that they have a support group. It's good that they have people around them to help them adapt to that change now, right? There used to be two of you in the bed. Now there's only one of you. Well, you know what I mean? That can be devastating for a lot of folks,
Hmm.
right? And sometimes there's some changes that people go through that they may have suicidal thoughts, as an example. You know what I mean? So having a support mechanism, a support group, having people around you, as I said, especially those that are like-minded. Not people going to go, "See, I told you so." Like, not those individuals, right? But people who are, who mean you well, right? People who wish you well, want to see you do well, and vice versa, right? You feeling the same way about them. Okay, now you come together and have certain discussions, and you both come out enlightened as a result of that conversation, right? That is important, right? Because again, no person is in an island. Like you just can't just be there by yourself, right? You certainly need to have that attachment. It's like people have various WhatsApp group and so on, right? People still doing webinars. They come together and I mean, to talk about stuff and what have you. And people walk away from those conversations feeling better,
Hmm.
feeling more informed, even Julie, right? So yeah, support is definitely plays a huge role when it comes to change and changes and being able to adapt to them, right? It's good to have that support mechanism or group.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe that we've talked pretty extensive today about changes and adapting to changes, because adapting to changes, Michael, it's not just, managing the transitions. It's really about it's so involved, where you really have to embrace that potential growth and that new renewal resilience that you're building together. In order for us to be able to do that, we got to be stay open minded, reflect on ourselves, seeking for other people's support. There's a lot of points that we mentioned here, and taking care of ourselves as well. When we can navigate our lives, because life is not a one set point. It's sometimes there's uncertainties, right? But if we could be prepared for it, we're taking that change with greater confidence. We have that confidence, say, okay, I'm going to accept that change, no matter it is, as long as my dreams and my goal, my aspirations still intact. So all of these points that we bring on today really helping us to learn, be evolved, and actually discover, who knows, through that changes we see another aspects of ourselves, Michael. And so maybe I don't know. I'm attempted to put down one thing that maybe we can do through the changes is journaling. You know, some people keeping the journal in their life, maybe that's their comfort zone, right? Yeah, we could do some of that. And I think the best thing is that for us, the community of Unpassive in the past 6 years, we've made friends, we've made people, we made uh, these relationship to a few people that we very close to, you know, like for example, you said you and I, you know, we talk. There's people that we talk to every single day, like on the daily basis, you know,
Mhm.
and we're there for each other. And so I really embrace this changes in our life, Michael, and no matter what, and no matter the changes that come, I'm always, for me, by having my two daughters, I always tell them just accept it. Is that change going to make you a better person? Making those adjustments, does it change where you are? Does it help you to look at life in another different angle? And so changes is great, but we have to be prepared for that, whether or not a small steps or big steps. And so I love this topic, Michael. And I love the fact that we be able to share that common thoughts, you know,
Mhm.
about things that we've done and what we've talked here.
Well, total freedom, Julie, is a change I believe that everyone will love,
Mhm.
right? Everyone will love it. Everyone will welcome it. Everyone will adapt to it, right? You know, so eh, again, the bottom line is that uh, majority of changes are good for people. The majority, you know, these are things that help you to grow, right? And so you want to learn to grow in life. No one wants to be constant. You know, you don't want to be static. You don't want to stay the same.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm the same way I was when I was 12 years old. Okay, I'm now, you know, 50 years old, and you know what I mean. Like, no, we go through changes in life. You know, sometimes your looks change, your body changes, your eating habits change. You know, I mean, there's so many things. You know, your knowledge change, Julie. You know what I mean? So there's so many changes that we will go through during our lifetime, and I think if we can learn to adapt, you know, to the changes, you know, and just be willing, like I said, be flexible, right? Be always be open minded. You know what I mean? You know, I'm always. It doesn't mean that I believe everything I hear, but certainly I'm open minded to at least listen, at least, you know, okay, yeah, receive all the information, and then from receiving all the information, then I can now judge. Then I can now decide whether this is a change that I want to welcome or whether it's a change I want to pass on, etc. Right? But first, I must gather all the information. Right? I can't just judge it just on the surface. You know what I mean? And so I think if we practice that in our lives, in all aspects of our lives, then we'll be able to make more informed decisions, Julie. And when changes do come and we realize that the change is good for us, then we accept it, right? Because everyone wants to improve their current situation. Everyone does. And I don't think there's anyone that is satisfied with their current status, right? I don't think so. I think every single person, you know, would want to improve it, because even if you're in a good situation, right, there's always more that you can do, right? So if your situations change for the better, right, now you'll be able to do even more. Right? You understand? So yeah, changes. It's a way of life. People just need to learn to embrace it when it does come. You know, in whatever facet, you know what I mean, whatever areas of your life, when change does come around, you know what I mean, learn to accept it, right? Learn to, you know, be courageous, right? I'm gonna use that word. Be courageous. You know what I mean? And don't be afraid of changes, right? Don't be afraid of it. You know what I mean? But just be able to decipher, though. You have to be able to discern. You have to be able to know what changes to go with and what changes not to go with. You know what I mean? But certainly the ones that are positive, the ones that are just going to enlighten you, put you in a better position. Certainly, you want to gravitate towards those types of changes, right, in your life, and you know, you will come out for the better in the long run. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm so looking forward for the changes ahead of us, you know, no matter
Mhm.
what, whether or not It's a little tweak or a big changes, or no matter what it is, because we know that there are the expert behind the scene is working are working very hard for the better purpose, because this change is going to be great. So I'm looking forward to whatever that change is, whether or not it's personal life, personal goal, or business wise as well. So I'm excited, Michael. It's a great topic. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed discussing about that with me, Michael. And for everyone that are watching right now, I hope you enjoy this topic, and hopefully you could pick a point out there, a point or two from what we're talking about. And if that's what you want to make adjustment in your life, it's great. Whatever it is, the values that you could pick from here is what we always thrive to deliver every conversations. And so yeah, stay updated, stay informed, and that's about it, Michael.
Sounds like a wrap, Julie. Sounds like a wrap.
Perfect, everyone. Enjoy your day, and we will see you next week at the same time on Monday. Take care. Take care, Michael.
Bye now.